did terrible things. Turned on Rob, captured Winterfell, killed those boys.
They weren't those boys. They were Bran and Rickon. They were your brothers. You've known them since they were born.
They weren't. They were only...
Only what?
They weren't.
Tell me why Bran and Rickon should be gone while you still breathe the air. Tell me to my face, Theon. Tell me that they weren't your brothers.
They weren't Bran and Rickon.
It's a huge game changer for Sansa. She had assumed that her father was dead, and her mother was dead, and her sister was dead, and both her brothers were dead, which means she's alone in the world. And finding out that Bran and Rickon weren't murdered is completely changing the mental world, the emotional world that she lives in.
And it comes at a very important moment because she's so oppressed at this point. You know, she's been married off to a psychopath, and everything has gone horribly wrong. And then when all seems lost, she gets this one piece of news that gives her a little bit of hope.
I think that re-energizes Sansa to survive this ordeal and to triumph over these circumstances and to do whatever she can to extricate herself from this absolutely terrible situation.
So, here we sit, two terrible children of two terrible fathers.
Over the course of their conversation, the similarities in their experience start to come to the fore. Maybe the similarities in their worldview start to come to the fore.
Tyrion has a lot of empathy for another orphan out there who had a terrible father, you know. They have certain links that bond them. He realizes maybe Varys was right about her, that she's the last chance for Westeros, and that this is someone who could cross the narrow sea and not only bring me back into power, because Tyrion still has his own ambitions, but create a better world for the people over there. Because, you know, despite everything, despite his occasional cynicism and his lack of sentimentality, Tyrion is one of the few players in this game who believes that it's possible to make things a little bit better for people.
Lannister, Targaryen, Baratheon, Stark, Tyrell. They're all just spokes on a wheel.
It's a beautiful dream. Stopping the wheel. You're not the first person who's ever dreamt it.
Dany talks a good game, and she's very charismatic, and she's a very impressive young woman, but he's heard lots of people say lots of pretty words over the course of his life, and he's seen how those plans go awry when they meet with reality.
I'm not going to stop the wheel. I'm going to break the wheel.
Like revolutionaries in our own world, she has every intention of changing things, even if that means knocking everything down to do it.
When you look at the giant set pieces in the show to date, most of them have been from the books, and Hardhome is mentioned in the books. We know that something terrible happened there, but we don't know what happened. And Jon Snow wasn't there. No one we know very well was there. So this was an opportunity to go north of the wall and to show the audience something that is going to be fresh for everyone. Whether you're a book reader or not a book reader, this is stuff that no one has seen. It's a key moment. I mean, the Night King is watching all of this unfold, and it's going pretty much according to plan until he sees this little living kid down there kill one of his lieutenants in an unexpected way. And before that, he sees the sword hold. You know, he's seen the White Walker's weapons shatter steel, except Longclaw does not shatter. And the Night King sees this, and it's kind of a, well, this kid's interesting. This kid's actually possibly a threat for me.
The fight against the living is supposed to be very one-sided, I think, as far as he's concerned. The idea that there's any meaningful resistance being put up is interesting to him, because otherwise the whole scene is a complete slaughter. One of the pieces of the sequence that we're happiest about is the Whites who run past the White Walkers and fling themselves off the cliff like undead lemmings, and they crash their bodies down to the ground and then get up again, because you can't really kill them except for burning them. It felt like such a strong visual way to put across how implacable and unstoppable and single-minded these things were, where they weren't about anything and they couldn't care less for their own safety, and they didn't feel any pain. All that mattered to them was killing you.
This isn't a battle. really. It's a massacre.
This isn't a big action sequence that ends with the hero winning. This is a big action sequence that ends with the hero's almost total failure. And the ante has just been upped in a pretty significant way, and he knows that the army of the dead will stop at nothing to get their hands on as many people as they can and kill them. And then the people that they kill become a part of their side. So it's kind of the viral expansion of this army is what they're facing if these things ever manage to get south of the wall.
It's a very bad end. And John sees this as he's floating away. You can see it in his eyes. He recognizes that this is a catastrophe. The Night King has a huge army now, and they just tried to fight off a much smaller group of whites and had very little success. So it's that hopeless feeling of how the hell are we going to beat that?